Hello, I'm Sergeant Alexandria Corneiro.
And I'm Staff Sergeant Matt Leary, and this is The Point.
And as you can see, we're supporting the Black Knights this week by sporting the jerseys.
And don't worry, the Black Knights football team fills out their uniform a little bit better than I do.
It's all about the padding.
That's what I've been told. I don't know.
As the clock ticks on, counting down the days for the game we've all been waiting for, this week we're going to take a look at how the rivalry all got started.
The first Army-Navy game was held in 1890, when Army's head coach, Dennis Mahan Mikey, accepted a challenge from the Naval Academy.
He was Army's first head football coach, and it's for him that West Point's famous Mikey Stadium is named.
Now, historically, the game was played on the Saturday after Thanksgiving, but is now played on the second Saturday in December and closes out the football season for both teams.
Aside from bragging rights, occasionally at stake is the Commander-in-Chief's Trophy, which is awarded each season to the Academy with the most wins between Army, Navy, and Air Force. This year, the trophy goes to Air Force.
We have to say congratulations to Air Force.
Aim high.
To give you an idea on the intensity of this rivalry, from 1894 to 1898, the game was put on hiatus due to an incident that occurred between a Rear Admiral and a Brigadier General.
Really?
It was a little bit of a to-do. There was almost a duel.
Sounds pretty serious.
It sounds so.
It was decided after that in 1899 that the game should be played in a neutral arena, and Pennsylvania was chosen as the location, seeing that it's about equal distance from both schools.
Since then, the majority of Army-Navy games have been played there in Philadelphia.
Now this year, the annual game is being held in the Washington, D.C. area.
And we are thinking this should shape up to be an exciting game.
Well, right now we're looking at a history of 55 wins for the Midshipmen and 49 for the Black Knights since the beginning in 1890. So the Black Knights are looking to shake it up this year.
It'd be a great way to end the season on a victory.
Absolutely.
Coming up after the break, we have Coach Coach Ellerson, the head coach for the Black Knights. He's going to sit down with us and tell us what we can expect on December 10th at FedEx Field. Stay tuned.
Digger goes back for a pass. Drives a long one over. It's juggled and good to Bob Carver, and he's driven out of the 10-yard line. Eddie Herb dives over for a touchdown for the Army. That's Army 9, Navy nothing. Ball goes to Herb. He drives over. It's a touchdown for the Army. That's Army 16 and Navy 7.
Welcome back to the show. With us today is Coach Ellerson, the Black Knights head football coach. Coach, thanks for sitting down with us.
My pleasure.
First, let's talk about the days leading up to this big game. How are you guys preparing to take on the Midshipmen?
Well, you use these extra couple of weeks a couple of ways. Obviously, we're preparing for Navy's offense and defense, preparing for their personnel. It's a chance for us to get healthy. Awful lot of guys have been banged up through the course of the season, and we're getting them back on the field at different rates, but to get them game ready and healthy as they can be. And it's also an opportunity, like a lot of teams will use in their bowl preparation, to help your younger players develop. So some of that practices are going to be devoted to some very fundamental developmental exercises. And while we're doing some of that stuff, we'll be protecting some of our players who have gotten more than enough snaps this year. They're all beat up a little bit. And and then of course preparing specifically for this style of offense and defense. So we're getting an awful lot done these days.
Now, Coach, in the past few years, Army's gone back to an option or wishbone style of offense as opposed to a passing game. How has that affected your game?
Well, we're being very effective running the football. We're getting a lot of yards. We lead the nation in rushing. What we don't do is we're not getting the ball into the end zone enough. We need to be more productive on the scoreboard while we're being productive on the ground. If we do a great job with that football and we are productive getting it into the end zone, that also takes some of the pressure off a young defense, a young undersized defense. What we don't do right now is we don't complement it as well as we should or could with our throwing game. We're never going to be confused with an aerial circus. We're never going to say that we're going to be quote-unquote balanced. But there are opportunities to throw the ball. There are an awful lot of plays and opportunities and frankly, things that we need to do to back off defenses. that we're not doing with the kind of consistency that we will do in the future, and hopefully the future is very, very soon. So.
We touched on the offense. What can we expect from the defense?
Well, the defense is as you know, they've had some, a little bit like Navy's defense. We've had some great days this year. We've had some tough days this year. We're a young outfit. They have a little bit of an advantage in our preparations for Navy because we understand what it is we're looking at. Obviously, they do too. Because we run a similar style of offense, or we use some of the same concepts offensively, it's relatively straightforward for us to present a scout look. We can prepare better. We can create a better practice environment for our defense as we prepare for this. Nothing prepares you for the physical part of it, though, and that's one of the ongoing challenges is having enough physical work to prepare yourself for the speed and physicality of the play up front without beating ourselves or setting ourselves back physically. And we're walking that line, but that preparation is moving along nicely. Because we see each other every year, they have an idea what we do, we have an idea what they do, and we've all got to find a little wrinkle for one another. We've got to get each other off balance, and I think both defenses maybe feel a little bit of pressure to do that this year, to break the mold a little bit and get their opponent off balance.
Who are some of your key players for this game?
Well, for us, obviously, our quarterback position is huge. When you run an option offense, really any offense, but especially an option offense, your quarterback's experience and ability to distribute the ball is huge. And Trent, we got our fingers crossed. We hope to have him back by hopefully midweek. But that's problematic. We haven't had him for feels like forever, right? And having a quarterback, an experienced quarterback, a prolific quarterback with as many starts as he had is really huge to the offensive play. Defensively, keep your eyes on how physical we can be up front on defense, because we're going to be challenged in there. There are some of those things that your opponent does that you're never going to necessarily shut down. We always talk about the fullback play when you talk about triple option, and we're going to have to manage that part of their game. But don't expect to try to shut it down, because obviously they've got tremendous skill. Their quarterback's legs are really spectacular, and our second level is going to be challenged. We have some young guys mixed in with some veteran guys. You have a combination of a Hayden Pierce. Hopefully he's healthy and ready to go, but you also have Steve Erzinger, who's seeing this a lot. But again, expect our opponent to do some things and present some challenges that we haven't necessarily prepared for. And that will stress that second level to adjust and keep our numbers right. Because if your numbers ever get out of whack, sometimes you don't get a chance to line up. The next team that lines up is the field goal block team. So a lot of pressure on that group to anticipate as best we can, but adjust anything we get that's unforeseen.
So is there anything you anticipate from Navy that you feel you can share with us? A secret or two, maybe?
That I anticipate from them? Well, as we said, offensively, they've got an offense, and they've got an awful lot invested in that, and they're the fourth best rushing team in the country. So they're obviously a prolific outfit. Their quarterback is as good a runner as they've had at quarterback. He probably doesn't throw it as well as they have in years past, but he's capable, and again can absolutely break your heart with his legs. And as I say, I expect that we're going to get something from them formation-wise, style of play that maybe we haven't seen. Maybe we can't necessarily anticipate. Most of what they're going to do, we've seen. Just like most of what we're going to do, they've seen. But not everything. We're going to have a couple of cards that we're going to add to the deck for this game, just as they will. And again, our ability to adjust to those things as they present will be critical.
Now, Coach, just to touch on what you were just saying, would you say it's more or less challenging to play a team that plays the same type of game?
I think it's a push at the end of the day. There's obviously we have some advantages in terms of when you talk about triple option, we understand what that is. We understand the rules, and we have a lot of guys in the practice environment who can simulate those things. The bad news is you can talk yourself into a hole if you're not careful, because we know that they know that we know that they know that, and pretty soon you're afraid to do anything. So again, at the end of the day, you want to make sure you've given your players a chance. You've got their eyes and their feet settled in so that they own the outcome. They own what happens in the next play, as opposed to you as a coach trying to do so much and be so clever that you take the game over on a theoretical level, and you tie your guys up with too much information. At the bottom line, we'll be okay. Again, the length of time we have to prepare and the ability to present as I say, those are advantages, but of course they have the same advantages, so it washes out.
Now, obviously, there's a lot of physical preparation for a game like this, Coach. Can you tell us about mentally preparing a team for a rivalry game like this?
Well, I think you can really leverage it. Obviously, this is the greatest rivalry in sport. Our guys are brought up with that from the day they start thinking about coming to West Point. They're thinking about this Army-Navy experience, and we can leverage that in our preparation. What we have to be careful with, however, is as we get closer to the contest, we have to leave that on the shelf. Our recent history with Navy doesn't help us. If we start trying to talk about things that happened 10 and 20 and 30 years ago and last year and pretty soon you've weighed yourself down to the point where you can't hardly move. And the truth is, none of that impacts what's happening on the next snap. And that's where we have to get ourselves. So as we get closer to the game, my challenge as a coach is to get those guys to leave all those other voices and all those other memories on the shelf, take themselves into the moment, have prepared especially well for this moment, mind you, and they'll be excited to play, in which we've been all year long, and then live in the moment, play the next play, which we've done a great job of this year. And if we'll do that for 60 minutes, there's a great chance we'll like the scoreboard when it's over. If we, on the other hand, get weighed down by expectations, other people's memories, not a chance.
Well, Coach, we just want to thank you for coming out today and coming on our show, and we want to wish you the very best in the upcoming game.
Thanks, appreciate it.
Well, stay with us on The Point. We'll be back in a few.
Welcome back. For more information on the game, you can visit GoArmySports.com or count down the days by going to www.westpoint.edu. Also, check out our hashtags on Twitter, there should be two, which are #Army Navy and #Go Army.
And for our local community, take a look at our newspaper, The Point of View, for upcoming events on West Point building up to Army-Navy. For everyone else, look for daily trivia on Army-Navy on the West Point Facebook page.
And there are lots of activities you can check out during Army-Navy weekend.
Also check out our upcoming episodes where we bid farewell to the Army's current mascots and welcome a new group. West Point has had mules as their mascots since 1899.
It will be sad to say goodbye to Scotty, Raider, and Ranger 2, but also exciting to welcome the new group. And for anyone who's wondering, the trio is going to a wonderful home where they can enjoy retirement.
Well, that's it for this week's edition of The Point. I'm Staff Sergeant Matt Leary.
And I'm Sergeant Alexandria Corneiro, and as always, go Army!
Beat Navy!